The biggest surprise in qualifying was the pace or lack thereof of the championship-winning car from last year. Bathurst 12 Hours winner Katsumasa Chio, Wolfgang Reep, and Florian Strauss took the #1 Nissan to victory last year. Wolfgang not here this year. It will be Rick Kelly in his place, but they did not qualify as far up as they thought they would with the new car. Keep an eye on them as the race goes on, though, because the Nissan is very, very good on used tires.
Tire pit lane reporter Shea Adam with our pole sitter.
Bill Oberlin, I know that you live just up the street, but do you own this track?
I do not own this track, but I love this track. I mean, I love this.
In the number 100 is John Edwards, fresh off of the first podium finish of the year for that car. The number 3, his co-driver Lucas Luhr, but it's all John for today. In the number 911, we find the guy who put the Porsche on pole last year. That would be Nick Tandy, took it from pole to the win. He'll be trying to do the same thing again today. We talked to him a little bit earlier. He thinks the hotter it is, it might help them a little bit. And in the number 912, that is Fred Makovecki, first time to the track, and they're giving him qualifying duties, so they have a lot of faith in
Shea Adam is right on the scene. Shea.
Tristan, you didn't want to take your eyes off that flag stand. You wanted to wait until the last possible second to confirm that it was you on pole. It's twice this season. Now it's a repeat of Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. You're going to do a little bit better than you did there, though, and maybe find your way up to the top step of the podium?
Yeah, that was the longest 2 minutes of my life, but, you know, we learned a lot.
It's your second pole of the season. Yeah. You know what happened after the first one? You won the race. You think that's going to happen again this weekend? Jan Magnussen, 4 cars, all the gap, and just like we thought, the 911 is the defending GTLM champion, Patrick Pilet. 912 is the defending Le Mans champion.
On the better way, I think. So.
The car doesn't look as it did when it came off the truck. There are some black parts on it where there should be red, but it clearly feels perfect. Are you feeling good about the race for tomorrow?
Yeah, no, of course we are feeling good. We know that the weather should be.
Let's take you through the grid. Let's show you who will be starting in today's race. 17 cars. Our 17th will be Eriks Blixt from Sweden. He is a Cup champion in MX-5s in Sweden. New to driving them, though, here in the U.S. On the other side, we find someone who's used to sitting on this side of the car, Tony Crawford from Australia, making his second race start. Managed to see the flag yesterday, unfortunately not for the position he was hoping for. Moving up to 15th place, we find Mike Sinclair. Mike has a lot of experience running cars with not a great deal of horsepower, still getting used to these MX-5 Cup cars, but he is a Bathurst winner in class 2014. Across from him, Oliver Allwood, who is a Mazda champion in an older spec of a Miata over in England. Continuing up the grid, we find Tim Probert, one of the guys who has run more races than anyone else in the MX-5 Cup, been in this series since the very first year. We're glad to have Tim back for today's race. And across from Tim, Gabriel Gardel, a Le Mans winner in class, not once, but twice. Our Swiss driver will be starting today. Continuing up the grid, we find Mr. Grants here. He had a great race yesterday, led for the international drivers most of the time out there, did more wreaths, ultimately finished about 7th, looking to move up a bit more. Now, here's one of my favorite stories on the grid. Mr. Franczak, out of Poland. He is a Polish military flight stunt pilot. He teaches people how to do these. He's an iRacing graduate. Look for him to be quick. But our next row, people he's going to have to worry about getting around, Sarah Montgomery, her best qualifying position so far this year. Sarah running with Lemons of Love on the side of the door. Her sponsor company actually hired her when she graduated from college just a few months back because she's been so impressive to them. She's in the number 14. Keep an eye on her. Glenn McGee, one of our Mazda Scholarship winners coming into this year. Glenn is an iRacing champion. He's looking to try and improve. Got a couple of 5th place finishes this year in the Global MX-5 Cup Series. Trying to find that first win and first podium. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up there today. Number 11, Ara Melkalsian. More wins, starts in this series than anyone else. Ara and his wife own Alara Motorsports. They are series champions from years past. Ara is always someone to keep an eye on. He's currently 2nd in points for our Battery Tender Series. The 0-1, Yui Susumi, best qualifier of our international contingency out of Japan. getting used to driving on this side of the car as well, doing a very impressive job. Had a bit of a rough start to yesterday's race, went off course when he should have stayed on, dropped back a bit, but still fought back through the whole time, putting down quick lap times. Car number 12, this is Chris Stone. He is the best of our rookie point sitters in terms of our battery tender championship. He's trying to fight back against Mark Drennan. Mark not taking the start today, so it will be Chris who represents our rookies. Now we get to the big guns. John Dean II, our series champion from 2015. Another one of our Mazda scholarship winners, running in that Soul Red. John was quickest through our first 2 practices. Qualifying didn't go the way he hoped, but he always races well here at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. A 2nd and a 3rd place finish early on in the races this year. Coming up to our front row, though, this is where it gets really exciting. We have Nathaniel Sparks, or Sparky, as you will hear him referred to as during the race. He's running in a car that he's not used to running. This number 8, it's the right number for him, but it's the wrong chassis. The car that he drives to lead the championship in the Battery Tender Series, well, that's back in the shop. They weren't expecting to get it back in time for this race, so he is driving Keith Jensen, one of his teammates' cars for this weekend. He normally has a lime green roll cage for those races. This weekend, it's all blue. But the man he is chasing in terms of trying to win this inaugural Global MX-5 Invitational is Mr. Robbie Foley. Robbie, in that Soul Red of Mazda, he is looking to try and win 2 races in a row this weekend and 3 in a row at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. If Robbie can hold on today and beat Sparky, then he should have this all to himself. If he can't beat Sparky, and Sparky beats him, we could wind up in a dead tie. Now, we do have a way to figure this out. It will be a fastest lap that will decide the championship, but ultimately, if these 2 finish up toward the front of the grid, it's going to be very tight points-wise. But if we get someone like John Dean who comes in and plays the spoiler, or if one of our international drivers like Moritz Krantz or even Yui Susumi can come in and play, well, then it's all up for grabs. And of course, the big prize, the chance to get to go test out the simulator up at Multimatic Motorsports in Toronto, and then potentially getting a chance to drive the Mazda prototype that competes in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. All of these drivers would do anything to try and get that prize. But before they can get it, we have to get things started today. And we've got Mr. Robert Davis, the Senior Marketing Vice President, Director of Operations for Mazda North America, to give the command today. Robert, you're a racing fan through and through. You've got a lot of laps around this track. How badly do you want to be in one of these Global MX-5 Cup cars?
Well, the former Director of Motorsports, John Doonan, former. So just kidding, John. No, it's a great chance to be here, great chance to have the right cars and the right drivers. We really appreciate the international element of this, and really excited about getting it done. Looking forward to crowning a champion in 40 minutes.
Well, we need to give the command before we can crown a champion. What are those most famous words in motorsports?
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, start your Mazda engines.
Command has been given. We have 17 Global MX-5 Cup cars that are roaring into life. 17 people going out there to try and win this race. It could be anyone's prize. We've already had the first winner in the inaugural Global MX-5 Invitational Race 1. We do not yet have our inaugural champion. Will it be Robbie Foley? Will it be Sparky? Will it be John Dean II, who has champion next to his name already? Or will it be someone else that we haven't even considered yet? Well, Kenton, that's for us to figure out within the next 40 minutes.